Drive Away Dolls is the solo directorial debut of Ethan Coen, who is known for being one half of the legendary directing duo, the Coen brothers, along with his brother Joel. There isn't much to be said about the Coen brothers that hasn't already been said. They have one of the most impressive filmographies of any director, making over a dozen films that I would consider to be some of the greatest of all time. They offer such a variety in terms of genre and tone that it's difficult to pin them down. Across their entire output, some trademarks become apparent: main characters who are losers, idiosyncratic side characters, captivating cinematography, stressfully intense moments, and surreal or even anticlimactic endings. 2018 was the last time the Coens worked together as a duo, with both Ethan and Joel splitting up to focus on separate works. Joel directed The Tragedy of Macbeth in 2021, which was a faithful adaptation to the Shakespeare play. It had mesmerizing cinematography and otherworldly sets. They retained the original dialect, which made the film impenetrable for me, and a lot of other people too. Shakespearean dialect isn't something I'm familiar with, and it's like an entirely different language. I get the importance and the influence of the original dialogue, but I feel like I have to put in so much work just to get up to speed with what the characters are even saying. The film also had an extremely dry, monotonous tone, which made it even more difficult for me to watch. Now, Ethan has directed Drive Away Dolls in the year of our Lord 2024. Ethan didn't just direct this film, he wrote and produced it with his wife, Trisha Cook. Meanwhile, Cook took up editing duties on this project. I knew going into this that it wasn't going to be as great as the Coens' previous works, but I wasn't anticipating it to be this bad. This film is kind of a mess, to be honest. First and foremost, everything about it just feels like a first draft, like they're doing test footage, like it's everyone's first time going through this material, like it's their first time reading the lines, it's the first time acting out the scenes. It feels very unrefined and a bit uncoordinated as well. It makes a lot of it extremely underwhelming, like the performances aren't that good except for Beanie Feldstein, who I thought was great. It's just doesn't really have as much impact as that you would expect from a movie like this. It's a road movie, but you can't really tell how far they've traveled or how much time has passed. It's like you're in a car, but you have a neck brace on and you have horse blinders on and you're being chloroformed at random intervals. There's no sense of time or space or continuity. Some of the ideas in this feel half-baked as well. Like, it doesn't feel fully realized. Like, there are some stylish ideas, like there's some aggressive camera tilts, like Dutch angles that are like Sam Raimi-esque. Reminded me a lot of something you would have seen in Raising Arizona, but they're too few and too far between. Whenever something stylish like these weird hippie drugged out LSD trips happen, it just feels jarring. It doesn't feel cohesive at all. It just feels like padding. The editing in this film is absolutely horrendous. I mean, Trisha Cook is a professional editor, and Ethan Coen is an editor himself as well. He's even been Oscar nominated for his work in editing. And the two of them, as I mentioned before, shared directing, writing, producing, etc., that they have a lot of control over this project, and they both have backgrounds in editing. Why is the editing so bad in this? It is beyond amateurish. Look, I'm not even joking. This is exactly what some of the cuts are like. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being facetious. That literal sound effect was in the movie during a cut. I'm not joking. It's a frustrating movie because you do see glimpses of the Coen brothers' magic poking here and there. Like, there are some funny scenes, there are some funny ideas. All of the side characters are great. I loved all the minor characters, like everyone who's sitting behind a desk or a kiosk or whatever. They're all hilarious and memorable. It just really just falls back to how half-baked and unrealized this thing is. It is frustrating because I do think there is a good movie in here somewhere. Coen and Cook needed to spend a little bit more time trying to flesh it out more. Between this and The Tragedy of Macbeth, we can at least now get a glimpse at what each Coen seems to have brought to the table. Ethan seems to have contributed to their more absurdist, comedy-centric films, whereas Joel seems to have contributed more to their serious, darker films. And for some of the films in their catalogue, both of their inputs can be felt in equal measure. After watching The Drive Away Dolls and The Tragedy of Macbeth, I've come to realise that both films lack what the other one needs. Merge both films' strengths together and you'll get a typical Coen brothers film. They complete each other. Like, despite it having some personality, the editing, the sound design, the acting, I forgot to mention how bad Margaret Qualley's accent was in this. Jesus Christ, I forgot to mention that. It feels wrong giving this anything higher than a 4 out of 10. And if anyone's curious, I'd give The Tragedy of Macbeth a 5 out of 10. Thank you. Goodbye.